Light that spark, Fire Nation. JLD here, and welcome to Entrepreneurs on Fire, brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network with great shows like Duct Tape Marketing. Today, we're pulling a timeless EO Fire Classic episode from the archives, which means some of the resources may no longer be available. And today, we'll be breaking down F45, the Aussie fitness franchise phenomenon taking over the world. To drop these value bombs, I brought Luke Armstrong into EO Fire Studios. Luke is the global head of sales for F45 Group, the fastest growing fitness franchise in the world. And today, Fire Nation, we'll talk about having a great product will do its own marketing, making the experience your clients have special and different, and be action-oriented in your business, how to do so. And a big thank you to our sponsors and Luke for sponsoring today's episode. Success Story, hosted by Scott D. Clary, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network and features Q&A sessions plus convos on sales, marketing, business, and more. A recent ep on how to protect your business in times of crisis is a must listen. Listen to Success Story wherever you get your podcasts. Luke, say what's up to Fire Nation and share something interesting about yourself that most people don't know.
Hey, what's up, Fire Nation? Thanks for having me on board, John. My name is Luke Armstrong. I'm the Global Franchise Sales Director for F45 Training. We're a global fitness franchise community. And most people don't know where in the world I am on any given day. We're only a young fitness network, but we've grown at an incredible rate. We're in 45 countries around the world in just 5 years. So my job as sales director is to be kind of everywhere that we're not. Spreading the word about F45 and recruiting more people to join our community. So yeah, that's the one big unknown. Today, I'm in Los Angeles, where we have a headquarters in the US, and very happy to be on this podcast.
And Fire Nation, as I mentioned in the intro, we're going to be talking about F45, which is the Aussie fitness franchise phenomenon that's literally, not figuratively, literally taking over the world. And I wanted to really dive deep into all of this with Luke because, Fire Nation, this is just exciting how you can come up with a concept that you're passionate about, and you've also identified a niche, a void that's not currently being served in the marketplace, and then you can go big. You don't have to go big, but as Luke is showing today, you definitely can go big. And I want to talk about some of the strategies, tactics, and tools that he's implemented on this journey. So Luke, let's just dive into the F45 story, brother. Break it down for us.
Sure. So as I said in the intro, we're originally from Sydney, Australia. We started life in 2012, and it was an interesting period in the fitness industry because it seemed to be going through quite a seismic change. The old guard was being replaced by this new emerging phenomenon in boutique fitness and personal training, which was very exciting. We had movements like CrossFit that was really starting to gain some mainstream appeal, and we identified a gap. The more traditional do-it-yourself approach to fitness was sort of the industry standard, but it wasn't modernizing. The business models that supported that were quite clunky and actually quite risky. And there seemed to be a new phenomenon coming on board where people were engaging more directly with their fitness. They were taking ownership of more bespoke programming. But of course, it was coming at quite a high cost. So what we sought to do was fill that gap with a product that was very motivational. It would hold people to account, very innovative and dynamic in the programming. So you would never do the same workout again, and yield phenomenal results, both physically and mentally, but also socially. Really bring people together. Convince them to leave the headphones at home. Put down the smartphone and just engage with each other and their training. And it took off. It was an immediate hit on the member side. At the same time, we were actually working with very, very few resources. We were renting a very small, about 2,000 square foot room in a sort of rundown tennis complex. It was quite hard to get to, not visible at all from the street. So very much the antithesis of what we regard as sort of mainstream gyms. We didn't have a lot of money for equipment, so we had to get really innovative and sort of break the mold when it came to how we would program these workouts and deliver it. And funnily enough, it was that sort of lack of resource at the early stage that really was the genesis for this business phenomenon, which is the other side of F45. It's this franchise business model that we've devised, which doesn't rely on a lot of resource, doesn't rely on large floor spaces or lots of equipment. You don't need an army of staff to run the business. And as a result, it can get profitable very quickly. And this has really sort of powered our global boom. As I said, we're now in 45 countries around the world, 1,800 franchises sold in about 6 years. And it's just this phenomenon that has this real positive reinforcing effect, where the more we open, the more people are coming in contact with it, the more people are inquiring about buying franchises and helping us to colonize the globe.
So there's a lot of things we can pull out there, Fire Nation, but the one thing that I really personally want to drill down on is when Luke said, never do the same workout again. And I was immediately just like, oh my God, like, I don't even really know that I was thinking about that before. But when he said it, I was like, that's one of my least favorite things about things like P90X and these other programs is I just feel like I'm doing the same exact program over and over again. And it's just boring. It's repetitive and it's never new and fresh. And I just get into this rut. So I love, Fire Nation, how Luke, he did multiple things, of course. We're going to talk about a couple of them in a second. But one thing, just one identifiable niche that was not being filled properly, about people just tired about doing the same workouts again and again and again, and how F45 made that different. That can be enough to get you that initial momentum, that initial explosion to take things to the next level. So beyond that, Luke, I mean, let's be honest, it's a very competitive marketplace in the fitness industry. So what are one or two other ways that you were able to really stand out?
Sure. Well, I mean, look, firstly, on the consumer side, the fitness product was new and innovative, and we talked about the difference with the workout programming. We also invested quite heavily in technology from the very beginning, so we bothered to develop our own proprietary programs that help guide our members through the workouts. They also help our trainers deliver the class. So there was immediately, when you walked into the space, you could tell that this was sort of a new, improved, very much a 21st century version of fitness. We've also invested heavily in brand development. We really saw a gap in the market for an operator that had a very strong brand that could really cut through a lot of the other noise and competition. And then, of course, by having a business platform that was not weighed down by lots of capital intensive investments, whether it's in equipment or long leases, it allows us to be really dynamic. So we can adjust. The fitness industry is always changing and morphing. It's one of the things that makes it such an exciting industry to be a part of. But as an operator, that change, if you invest too heavily in one particular piece of equipment or one particular methodology, that change can actually really disrupt your business. So we were very conscious about remaining agile. When you look at an F45 workout, it's actually quite hard to pinpoint what it is exactly. It's a 45-minute team interval workout, but we borrow extensively from all sorts of different modalities, and that allows us to embrace change, I suppose, rather than fear it, which gives us a great competitive advantage.
It's almost like, I don't know why I'm loving this so much, but I am just loving this so much. And Fire Nation, when your customers are saying those things or even just thinking those things, I mean, you've got a winner. So he talked about brand development. He talked about technology, of course, never doing the same workout again, combining all these different modalities. Fire Nation, take these tools, these tactics that Luke and other of my guests are using, apply them to your business, to your concept. Now, you went with this franchise, quote unquote, boutique concept. Explain exactly what that means and why you did it.
Sure, it's a good question. I mean, I think boutique is it applies to lots of different approaches now. I would say boutique is there's something about it that's quite bespoke. It's something in terms of, it's often characterized by high levels of service. Also, it's often characterized by a high price point. So it's sort of the antithesis of the low cost, low service model that the industry became known for. I think the thing that F45 really prides itself on, and one of the strong points of difference from the member perspective, is the level of service you get. Our communities inside these gyms, they're not big. An F45 studio will have typically somewhere between 200 and 300 members. They train in teams of about 27. And so it's almost inevitable that you're going to interact with each other and interact with our coaches. Everybody will be known on a first name basis, in a very short period of time. And we really foster that that culture and that community aspect. I think in this day and age, a lot of us are spending less and less time connected directly. We're on, devices and we're facing off to screens. In an F45 workout, that's impossible. I mean, we do have screens around the room, but you're often interacting with each other and taking everything back to first principles. So in terms of, the decision to kind of franchise this, we knew we had a very exciting product, and we also know that the industry changes very quickly. So rather than try and colonize this ourselves, we in fact sought to recruit franchise partners whose passion for what we do and their time and their capital could be leveraged to really get big quickly. So we wanted to take out this space before anybody else had an opportunity to do that. It's not a fait accompli. We're still doing that, but we were able to hit saturation in Australia in about 3 years. That took us to about 600 gyms, which is now a record. And at the same time, by leveraging the systems and a lot of the principles of franchising, we're also able to maintain quality, which is really important in this space. A low quality boutique is probably not going to be regarded as a boutique for very long. So by investing in technology and really systemizing the delivery and the business operations, we're able to grow quickly, but also maintain that quality, which is also important.
Now, you did hit big quickly. I mean, how the heck have you been able to scale to over 1,800 franchises in just 6 years? And we're talking about across 45 different countries, Fire Nation. So it's not just like this is a one-trick pony. So what is the secret, Luke?
Yeah, look, I think it starts with the product. If you've got a great product, that will do its own marketing. You've spoken to about this on previous podcasts. The importance of just fundamentally having a great offering. I've also learned that it's incredibly potent when you can empower people to facilitate life change, whether that's in their fitness and health or whether that's helping them transition into self-employment. That is something that we have a very strong record of doing. For a lot of our franchisees, this is a solution that enables them to combine their love of working out and their love of socializing with business. Many of them are first-time business owners, and we're able to mitigate a lot of that concern that a lot of entrepreneurs are facing when they're thinking, well, I want to make the leap, but what if I fail? We've now got a very strong track record that supports their confidence and belief that they're onto something that's going to support them in this venture. I think investing in technology is really important. That's how we've been able to scale in a manner that's quite capital efficient and doesn't require us to become this sort of huge bloated corporate structure. I also think that it was quite serendipitous that social media had started to boom, because this is how word of mouth was able to spread very quickly. And we were quite. I think one of the things we did well was we were quite quick to catch on to the power of this. So we ensure that every studio is very active on social media across multiple social media channels. We encourage franchisees to create their own content in their gyms, which facilitates interaction amongst their community and engagement, which is so important now in social media. So yeah, I think it was a confluence of all of those things. And then lastly, the fact that these franchise units ultimately become very profitable really rewards the franchisees for investing initially and then potentially considering subsequent reinvestment. So we love to see a franchisee come in, learn the ropes, get up the curve in their first year to 18 months, and then come back and continue to grow their network within our network.
Fire Nation, it's always going to start with product. It's always going to start with product. You can have the best marketing team, the biggest marketing budget in the world. If you're trying to sling crap, at the end of the day, it's just crap. So it starts with your product. Focus there. And I mean, to even shift this over to the podcasting side, I get people saying, John, how do I grow my podcast? How do I get more listeners? I say, don't worry about getting bigger. Worry about getting better. You need to become better at your craft as a podcaster, as an entrepreneur. Your product needs to get better, Fire Nation. That's the focus, because then guess what? Your customers become your marketers. And guess what? They're free. They're your customers. They're actually paying you money if you think about it. So think about that. They're paying you. And guess what? They're spreading the word. And Fire Nation, Mark Wahlberg, you might have heard of him. He's now an investor in F45. We're going to be talking about him and some other really cool things as soon as we get back from thanking our sponsors. Looking for a new career, especially one that is remote? Navigating the online space can be hard. Which business model do you choose? Amazon, dropshipping, affiliate marketing, podcasting? One of the easiest ways to get started is through remote high-ticket closing. Closers.io is a world-leading sales training and certification company that turns everyday ambitious individuals into high-performance salespeople inside of the alternative education industry. Whether you're brand new to sales or you're a seasoned salesperson and tired of cold prospecting and long sales cycles, Closers.io can train and certify you in high-ticket selling. Clients who have completed the Closers.io sales certification have gone on to work with big brand names like Tony Robbins, Frank Kern, Dean Graziosi, and Jay Abraham, among many other big brand names in the education and personal development space. For more info on Closers.io sales certification, visit Closers.io/EOF. That's Closers.io/EOF. Hey, Fire Nation, can I get your attention real quick? I know that you have a lot in your mind right now, or always, but one thing you shouldn't have to worry about: payroll. That's right. Thanks to Roll by ADP, the first chat-based mobile payroll app made for small businesses, payroll is now stress-free. Roll lets you effortlessly manage your payroll and taxes directly from your smartphone. It only takes a few swipes and taps. That's all. It really is that easy. So all the time you have blocked out on your calendar for payroll, well, use that for you time. A bit more about Roll. It gives you the power to run payroll when you want, where you want. You can also pay who you want, full-time, part-time, and even seasonal employees across all 50 states. Roll even automatically files local, state, and federal taxes for you. Ready for a lot less stress in your life? Roll by ADP is offering our listeners 3 free months of unlimited payroll processing. That's right, 3 free months. Visit rollbyadp.com/fire to redeem your offer. Terms and conditions apply. Are you looking for a platform that's easy for your entire team to use and that also helps your business grow better? HubSpot is a CRM platform that's built to help businesses from startup to enterprise with tools and features teams actually use. Instead of wasting time trying to manage your software, what if you were actually uncovering customer data insights like the average time it takes your team to close a sale? HubSpot is here to make your work life easier with things like their Sales Hub. HubSpot's sales software ties all your data and tools together in one intuitive, easy-to-use platform so that you can close more deals without more tools. And their Marketing Hub, where you can build your entire marketing funnel to attract and convert more leads while keeping your sales team in the loop every step of the way. These are just a couple of the ways HubSpot eliminates friction, empowering your team to do their best work. Learn how HubSpot can make it easier for your business to grow better at HubSpot.com. So Luke, we're back, and Mark Wahlberg, I mean, especially in the States, this dude is huge. I mean, if you haven't seen the show Entourage, I don't know what you've been doing with the last 10 years of your life. And he's now an investor, Luke. So why him? How did it happen? And what the heck does he actually bring to this brand that you so coveted?
Yeah, well, I mean, the industry for fitness and wellness is booming at the moment, and certainly there are a lot of big players looking to get in on the action. We've been quite lucky. We've been courted for some time from venture capital funds and private equity, but we delayed partnering with any of these operators because we were waiting until we met the right partner. And we came across Mark late last year. He actually, his first contact with us was as a customer. He came in and did a workout at one of our studios here in Los Angeles. And he was really taken by the whole prospect. Anybody who knows Marky Mark knows that he's got a long love of fitness and health. And he was introduced to a new style of training that just made sense to him. So he was very excited. He asked how he can get involved, and in March earlier this year, we announced that he had bought a minority stake. The reason we partnered with him is that first and foremost, there's complete alignment in values. He works out famously every day, even when he's on holiday. He's got to keep himself in great shape. He's also, a very astute businessman, and this is another real foundational quality of F45. We've got a passion for health and wellness, but we also have a passion for business and entrepreneurship. Mark has got investments in everything from TV shows to water supplements, smartphone applications for sneakers, and now he's got a stake in a fitness empire. So, we were really excited to welcome him on board. For us, it gave us, another step to leverage in this really important market in North America. Marky Mark's obviously, a household name here, so it helps in furthering the brand. He's also, importantly though, he's also a global name. So, we have a presence now in 45 countries around the world. And most of these countries, Mark is also a household name and well recognized. So we saw it as a great fit, and so far he's been a phenomenal advocate for training. Anyone who follows his social media channels will see that it's barely a day goes by when he's not inside one of our studios around the US, and we're looking forward to what the future holds for him.
Not a bad deal having Marky Mark go ahead and share some social media love inside of F45s on potentially a daily basis. And Fire Nation, guess what? You might not have the business or be at the stage yet where you can have a Mark Wahlberg type, but guess what? There's a lot of influencers. There's a lot of authority figures out there that are definitely looking for opportunities to invest or to have equity for support, etc. I've done it with other companies like Gimlet and Oxbus, and Gimlet actually was just bought by Spotify for $230 million 4 months ago. So that investment worked out pretty well. You can see, thank you so much. And you can see, Fire Nation, that there's opportunities to find those influencers, those authority figures that can really help juice and bring exposure to your brands. Now, let's just talk about some of the overall lessons that you've learned that Fire Nation can benefit from.
Sure. So look, I think it always starts with the customer. Our focus has always been on delivering the best workout in the world, and that starts with. That actually starts with a customer that's probably not familiar with the gym environment or working out, and we've really sought to demystify the whole experience and make it special, make it something that you want to come and use again. I think it's absolutely important to be different. We touched on the competitiveness of the industry. I see copycats out in the marketplace, and I just I want to go up to them and plead with them to just do something that's original, where they can lay claim to it and be known for it. The market is a massive space, and there's far more to be gained from differentiating yourself rather than just becoming another Me Too brand. Innovation is really important. Again, it sort of ties into to the level of competition in the industry, but we really see our intellectual property as being our brand, our technology, and our community. So we're always looking at ways that we can improve that. The technology is a really important piece because it allows us actually to develop and innovate at a much faster rate than if we were just a tried and tested bricks and mortar business. So lastly, I've also learned that that notion of empowering people is really potent. So if you can build businesses around helping others, whether it's a consumer or another business, if you've actually got a product that does that, that gets results, it's incredibly powerful. It's inevitable. We're genetically engineered, I believe, to pass on strong recommendations about experiences and products that we fall in love with. And so if you've got a business system that facilitates that sort of change and promotes that sort of recommendation, you're onto a winner.
Fire Nation, I can't emphasize enough what Luke just shared. We are genetically wired to share the success that we've had, the good experiences that we've had, the rewarding experiences that we've had. It's literally in our genes. It is innate. We are born with it. So give people a reason to do just that. And we've talked about a lot of lessons and about a lot of things that you're doing right. But give us maybe one thing that you really feel like is allowing you to continue to lead this market.
A couple examples. We're looking at going into new verticals. In the last 12 months, we've gone into nutrition. We'll announce a supplement range this year. We've started working with brand partners on shoe collaborations, merchandise. We're looking at going into the hotel industry, and even developing a presence in corporate campuses. We've had a lot of success going into college campuses. For instance, we're in 30 top tier universities around the US, where we're able to introduce the customer early on in their life, in the hope that they'll become great brand advocates once they leave university and go out into the big wide world. So yeah, it's a very exciting time to be in this space. It's actually quite easy to get carried away with all the opportunities. I think the biggest challenge for us is actually just prioritizing everything and focusing on those things that we think we can do better than anyone else.
So the future is bright. I mean, you have the momentum, you have the brands, you have Mark Wahlberg. I mean, you've got a lot of things that are going forward for you right now. You just mentioned a lot of things that you're getting into to kind of diversify and to expand. And I mean, something that I just think of Fire Nation is think about Kellogg's cereal back in the day. That's just all they were. They were just a couple cereals. But now what are they now? They're literally every snack food, every dry goods you can imagine. Companies, as they go over time, the smart ones diversify and they grow. I mean, what is Facebook doing? Are they just sitting around? No, they're buying Oculus Rift. They bought Instagram. They're buying so many other different things. Same thing with Amazon and Google. They're just continuing to diversify their brands going forward. So when you're getting to this stage, it's a very smart move for you to do the same when you're able to. So beyond what you've already shared, Luke, what does the future hold for F45? What's over the horizon that you are really fired up about?
Look, I think our mission is to put F45 within reach of anybody in the world who wants to experience it. So we're going to continue to build out the network, the physical network. One of the really exciting themes that we've identified is the demand for this sort of product in the emerging markets. Boutique fitness is well known now in mature markets for fitness like North America, Australia, parts of Europe. But we're seeing a lot of appetite in markets such as mainland China, India, the Middle East. So there's a lot of opportunity there where we're quite blessed in many respects in that a lot of our peers in this industry are not or don't seem willing to go into that space. So we're leading the charge. Technology is also really exciting. I mean, it gives you so much leverage and opportunity to tap new trends, in particular gamification. We're building a new platform that we're integrating into our studios that will enable the trainers to set challenges both individually and also for the team collectively that will allow them to accrue points and potentially even redeem them both in the studio and also out in the real world with loyalty partners. So yeah, we're really looking forward to what the future holds, and tech is going to be a big part of that.
Now, I know that F-35 is a very famous jet fighter here in the United States. I'm a military guy, so I kind of went there the very first time I saw F-45. Can you share the origin of what F-45 stands for?
Sure. So F45 is short for functional 45, which is the long name of our company. Functional because we fundamentally subscribe to a style of training that is rooted in functional human movement. So a lot of our movements are actually quite primitive. You'll see jumping, lunging, pushing, pulling, lifting, throwing. And the 45 is a play on the duration of the average class. It's 45 minutes long. So it's short, sharp, and guaranteed to get results.
Luke, if there's one thing that our listeners can take away from this episode, what do you want that one thing to be?
Look, I think there's a lot to be said for just being very action-oriented in business. One thing we haven't been afraid to do is take risk, and I think that's something that we hold very true, and we don't want to lose that as we get bigger. Risk taking isn't necessarily a bad thing if you are open to the results and you can pivot around any moves that you deem might not be the smartest. So yeah, we've got a lot of examples in the past where we've modified things and tested, identified areas where it can be improved and made those improvements very quickly, and that's put us at a huge advantage over the last 6-7 years.
So give Fire Nation a call to action. If we want to learn more about potentially becoming a franchisor of F45, or maybe if we're just like, you know what, I got a couple LBs I like to drop, I want to go check out an F45 that's near me, give us a couple of those calls to action. How can we get involved?
Yeah, I mean, it's easy. You just jump onto f45invest.com and get in touch. If you just leave your name and some contact details, one of our representatives will be in touch immediately.
Love that. Well, Fire Nation, F45invest.com. Join the craze. And Fire Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And you've been hanging out with LA and JLD today. So keep up the heat and head over to eofire.com. If you type Luke in the search bar, his show notes page will pop up with everything that we've been talking about today. We're talking links, everything, best show notes in the biz. Luke, thank you, brother, for sharing your truth, your knowledge, your value bombs with Fire Nation today. For that, we salute you, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thanks very much, John. It was great being here, and I'm a big fan.
Hey, Fire Nation. Today's value bomb content was brought to you by Luke Armstrong of F45. And if you're ready to rock your very own podcast, I have a completely free podcasting course where I will teach you how to create and launch your podcast for free. Just check out freepodcastcourse.com, and I'll catch you there, or I'll catch you on the flip side. Success Story, hosted by Scott D. Clary, is brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network and features Q&A sessions plus convos on sales, marketing, business, and more. A recent ep on how to protect your business in times of crisis is a must listen. Listen to Success Story wherever you get your podcasts.